Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely pumped to be with you today because we are tackling one of the most powerful yet honestly frequently misunderstood tools in the English language, reported speech. If you've ever found yourself getting totally tangled up when trying to recount a conversation you just had, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to completely demystify this grammar structure and break it down into a simple, logical formula.
Think about it for a second. Have you ever had to tell someone what another person said? Of course you have. We do this literally every single day. Imagine your friend Sarah comes up to you and says, "I am tired." Later on, you want to relay that exact piece of information to someone else. You don't walk around doing voice impressions and quoting her directly, right? Instead, you naturally adjust it. You say, "Sarah said that she was tired." That subtle shift right there, that is the magic we are exploring today.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover 1. What is reported speech? 2. Mastering tenses. 3. Updating pronouns and time. 4. Handling questions and commands. 5. Say versus tell. And finally, 6. We'll wrap it up with a final challenge.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1. What exactly is reported speech?
Basically, reported speech is telling someone what another person said, but without acting like a human tape recorder. You're not using their exact words or those clunky quotation marks. It's the elegant solution that keeps our stories flowing smoothly. Without it, we'd constantly have to pause, make air quotes, and recite dialogue like we were reading from a movie script. Reported speech lets us seamlessly weave someone else's thoughts right into our own sentences.
Now, what's really interesting here is exactly what changes when we make that transition. Take the direct speech. Tom said, "I am happy." When we switch that to reported speech, it becomes, Tom said that he was happy. Look closely at the variables shifting in this transformation. The quotation marks completely disappear. We often drop in the word that to connect the ideas. The pronoun I changes to he, and the verb am changes to was. It's not just random guessing, It's a highly logical progression.
Moving right along to Section 2. This is a big one, mastering tense changes. To truly master this, you need to firmly grasp what I like to call the one-step-back anchor concept. When we report something using a past reporting verb, like said or told, we're effectively reporting from the past. Because of that, the tense of the original quote must take one logical step backward in time. Let's walk through this progression. Present simple takes a step back to past simple, so she works hard becomes he said that she worked hard. Present continuous steps back to past continuous. I am studying becomes she said that she was studying. But what if the original quote was already in the past? Well, past simple takes a step even further back into the past perfect. So I visited London turns into he said that he had visited London. The present perfect also becomes past perfect. And finally, if someone uses the future tense will, like I will call you, we step that back to would, resulting in he said that he would call me. Once you see the underlying logic of just stepping back in time, this whole transformation becomes incredibly intuitive.
All right, Section 3, updating pronouns and time. It's all about shifting perspective.
And this brilliantly illustrates why pronoun changes are absolutely crucial. Think about it. If Mary says, "I love my school," you can't report that by saying, "Mary said that I loved my school." That would mean you love your school. The perspective is shifted. The pronoun I logically has to change to she, and my has to change to her, based entirely on who is actually speaking. So the sentence correctly becomes, Mary said that she loved her school. You're always adjusting those pronouns to match the true meaning and the speaker.
Now, just as our perspective on the speaker changes, our perspective on time has to change too. Let's walk through this crucial cheat sheet. If someone says something is happening today, but you're reporting it to someone else 3 days later, well, today just isn't accurate anymore. So today morphs into that day. Yesterday becomes the day before. Tomorrow shifts to the next day. Now becomes then. Even demonstratives change, so this and these turn into that and those. To put that into perspective, if someone says, "I will see you tomorrow," applying our tense rule and our time rule, we report it as, he said that he would see me the next day.
Section 4. Handling questions and commands. These require a slightly different approach.
Let's look at reported questions first. Take the direct question. He asked, "Where do you live?" The critical rule here is that when we report a question, we actually drop the normal question word order. We don't use auxiliary verbs like do or did anymore.
So it's totally incorrect to say, he asked where did I live? Instead, it flattens out into a statement structure. He asked me where I lived. Notice how you still step the tense back, so live becomes lived, but the structure changes. And if it's a yes-no question, like, are you ready? Well, we don't have a question word like where or what to lean on. In those cases, we simply plug in the words if or whether. So that becomes, she asked me if I was ready.
Commands, on the other hand, are actually incredibly straightforward once you break down the formula. We use a specific, reliable structure, the verb told or asked, followed by the object, meaning the person being spoken to, followed by to or not to, and then the infinitive form of the verb. Let's apply this. If a direct command is clean your room, uttered by a parent, it logically becomes, Mom told me to clean my room. If it's a negative command, like a teacher saying don't talk, we just use not to. So, the teacher told us not to talk. It's highly actionable and works every time.
On to section 5, say versus tell. This is a super common pitfall we need to clear up.
So the crucial point here is understanding the structural difference between these two verbs. With the verb say, you simply say something. For instance, he said that he was tired. However, the verb tell absolutely requires a direct receiver, an object. You must tell someone something. You say, he told me that he was tired. You can't just say he told that he was tired. That just sounds off, right? Always remember this core rule. Say plus something, but tell plus someone plus something.
Finally, section 6. It's time for our final challenge where we put all this theory into practice. Let's move to and see how this builds into our first focus challenge. Take a look at this sentence. Anna said, I am studying English. I want you to mentally solve this right now. Remember the formula we just talked about. Think about who is speaking, to change the pronoun, and remember to take that one logical step back in time with the verb tense. What exactly does am studying become?
Boom! Here is the reveal. Anna said that she was studying English. If you got that right, fantastic job. You successfully transformed the pronoun I to she, and you perfectly stepped that present continuous am studying back to the past continuous was studying.
Okay, now for the real final challenge. We're leveling up. Here is our boss-level sentence. Peter said, I will visit my grandmother tomorrow. This is a multivariable challenge. You need to test your knowledge of tenses, pronouns, and time expressions all at the exact same time. Take a second and think it through. What happens to will? Whose grandmother is it? And what happens to tomorrow?
All right, let's break down the solution. The correct answer is, Peter said that he would visit his grandmother the next day. Look at how beautifully our formula works here. The pronoun I became he. The future tense will took a logical step back to become would. The possessive my adjusted to his. And finally, our time expression tomorrow shifted to the next day. You've literally just orchestrated 4 different grammatical shifts in one smooth, natural-sounding sentence.
So, to wrap this whole thing up, here is the ultimate recap of our entire rulebook for reported speech. This is your master checklist. Number 1, change the tense by taking one step back in time when using a past reporting verb. Number 2, always change the pronouns to align with the meaning and perspective of the speaker. Number 3, update those time expressions so the timeline actually makes sense to whoever is listening to you. And number 4, remember to flatten out the structure for questions and use that told to formula for commands. You are now officially equipped with the complete formula to cleanly and elegantly tell someone what another person said. Mastering this transforms you from just repeating words like a parrot to truly commanding the language. So my final provocative question for you to take away is this. Now that you have the formula locked in, whose words will you confidently report next? I want you to take these actionable grammar rules out into the real world, listen to conversations around you, and start mentally translating them into reported speech. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep